Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where grail seekers everywhere are strongly advised to avoid well-dressed men in fezzes. I'm the guy in the innocuous Imperial officer's hat, Pete Mummert.
I'm just regular old Tom Taylor.
One of the Midwestern guys, eh?
Yeah.
That's not true. Not
at all.
Gerald Christopher AWOL Porter.
And today we're excited to welcome one of the hosts of the Mogwai Minute podcast of the show, George Hendricks. George, what are the hats you try to avoid in your life?
Oh, man. I'm a man without hats.
Oh, wow.
That's how I do it.
What about winter? Winter in Colorado?
Okay, no, actually, no. There you go. Winter in Colorado, I walk a lot. I will put on like a knit beanie or something like that, but I'm other than that, I'm not a hat guy.
Okay.
Strictly for functional purposes.
That's fair.
Utilitarian.
Yeah. I think Jerry is in your camp as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to let you know that I'm just going to say this now on your podcast to get the news out there. Neil doesn't actually exist. When we record, it's me recording both tracks. It's like a multiple personality thing. I just talk to myself.
I have
So I'm very disagreeable, and that's how it works. So Neil is actually a figment of my imagination, which he'll be happy to hear.
That Cockney accent. So
I mean, it's so good. I mean, I can do all of them.
Excellent. Well, today we're going to do all of our own voices for minute 40, which begins with our heroes drifting towards a giant propeller and ends with Kazim telling Indy it's his last chance.
Well, at the beginning of this minute, we have another feel-good moment. Death by propeller. So it's kind of, I feel...
That feels good?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's warm and fuzzy. We talked about...
How often have you seen a death by propeller in a movie?
Wow.
Or in general? Maybe you have a very weird weekend life, but how often have you seen a death by propeller?
I can think of one very important movie where I saw death by propeller.
Wasn't Chrissy Watkins killed in a boating accident with a propeller?
I was about to say.
Yeah. All the signs point to a boating accident. I think that's what happened.
But she wasn't actually killed by a propeller. That's just inference.
That's true. Well, then maybe it was Jack the Ripper. I'm sorry.
The plight of the manatee.
Yeah. I could have been a Mako. Could have been a Mako shark.
A what?
Wow. I love for the rest of your lives if someone says the word Mako shark.
It's a tiger shark.
Or Mako the actor.
Yeah.
Just, what?
Yeah.
Or just like, what was the old muffler place? Better get Mako. A what?
The paint. Yeah, they do car painting, painting.
Oh, wow.
So these propellers are pretty cool. They actually flooded part of the back lot at Elstree Studios, and they built a giant propeller in like the stern of the boat.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't want to get anyone near it because this thing, even though it was a prop, was incredibly dangerous because it was this giant piece of turning metal. So they put a boat with no motor in it that Indy and Elsa are in, and they used kind of a long angle camera, and they kept. And the boat was built longer than the actual boats were, so that it would look like it's getting chopped up for a long, long time before it actually gets to them.
Oh, cool.
There's some interesting movie time in this scene.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Elsa is wearing the reciprocal pinstripe of Kazim.
Oh,
you're right.
Yeah.
The inverse. Yeah,
She's merely a shadow reflection of him.
And also, Elsa looks lovely when she's concerned.
She does.
She's just gorgeous when she's concerned. As childhood crush right there, by far, childhood crush. And I'll say right now, she looks great when she's very worried.
Well, you know what? I'm going to jump in and ask you right away then, George. So, this has been Tom's question, so I can let you ask it, Tom.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sick of asking it.
And I'm sick of Tom asking it, so I'm going to ask it.
Yeah, there you go.
Tom's talked a lot about how everybody remembers Marion and loves her, and everybody remembers Willie, and some hate her and some love her, but you don't hear a lot about Elsa. And I was wondering, do you think that's a generation thing, or what are your thoughts on Elsa?
I think Elsa is fantastic. I think she's fun and smart, and she's got like the great like femme fatale thing going on. I think that she doesn't get as much love because she's in one of the more, not traditionally the lower rated Indiana Jones movies. So she isn't up there as she's not a Marion, she's not a Willie. She's from Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm. Although a lot of people put this at the top or even second.
Yeah,
I am one of those people.
Well, there you go.
but I understand that if it's not first, it's lower rated. Yeah, which I like.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Temple of Doom, while I've covered last time how much it traumatized me, and Raiders was always sort of like, I don't know, it's a little bit. So this was one of the first ones I really remember and remember loving. So this is sort of like Jedi to me. It's one of the first ones I saw in the theater. I remember, remembering it very well and really taking to it. So Ilsa is always like sort of like my like number one Bond girl as far as Indiana Jones goes.
Mm-hmm. And she was a Bond girl. For reals.
What?
Yeah. She was in View to a Kill, starring Duran Duran.
View to a Kill.
Love that song. Love that
It's
song.
such a good song. Yeah. It's so much better than the movie.
Yeah.
There are two really clunky things in this minute that I always notice and that I always appreciate. Well, I'll tell you. There's that over-the-top shot, aerial. I don't know if can you call it an aerial shot if they're not in an airplane? I don't know, but it's looking at the boat from above as it's starting to turn towards the propeller, and you can see the rope attached to the front of it that's turning it. It's like pulling it into position. And I strained to notice it here. I'm watching it on my computer, but I remember like every time I saw it in the theater, I was like, hey, look at a rope. There's a rope. There we go. That's how movies are made. There's a rope.
Oh yeah, I totally see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when Indy is, he's like roughing up Kazim and the propeller's eating up the boat and he's yelling at him and stuff, there's Indy's words that you're hearing are miles away from whatever Harrison Ford is saying.
ADR is
Oh,
awful.
yeah.
Which, I mean, you can forgive it. Like, they're in the middle of this complicated shot that they can only do once probably because they're chewing up the whole boat and everything. But, there's like no way that Indy's mouth is making those words at those times.
Right. And the same is true with Kazim.
Yeah, both their ADRs is trash.
Yeah.
It's just they're not even close. It's like they don't even try. They're just like, just say them on the phone and we'll match them up as best we can later. They literally phone this in.
Well, I'm fascinated by this conversation they have here, though. So Indy asks Kazim why he's trying to kill him, and Kazim says because you're looking for the Holy Grail. And so, do they kill everybody that's just looking for the Holy Grail? Or
I think they do.
We don't know because they're pretty successful.
Yeah.
We just don't hear about the people looking for the Grail.
Yeah. I wonder if this is the first time anyone's gotten close enough that they have to start setting fires and...
Well, he does ask, because like, my father was looking for the Grail. Did you kill him too? Because,
Yeah.
Well, is it only in Venice, or if you're looking for the Grail, like in Charlotte, North Carolina, are they going to kill you there?
Oh, I'm pretty sure these guys, if they think... I think you have to be close. So they're just kind of hanging out around the library and go,
You made it this far? Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're in Charlotte, they know you're way off.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons if you're in Charlotte. I mean, that's just...
I think like once you get into the catacombs, there's a sign that says if you can read this, the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword is coming in.
If you can read this, you're already on fire.
Duck.
What's weird is so this crypt or the catacombs have been there for 1,000 years, and so the cruciform of the night. What is it? The Knight's cruciform. What is it? Wack-A?
Oh,
Yeah, the Wack-A of the
Yeah.
Court of the Crimson
The
King.
Wack-A of the no. They haven't. I guess no one's gotten this close, right? Because they would have burned the place to the ground.
but what the... purpose is having a grail if no one can drink out of it? Why have it?
Listen. I mean, I think. Well, the whole point is, what's the point of a tree of knowledge in the center of the garden if you can't sample?
It's like, why do you have a ficus if you didn't want me to pee in it?
Exactly, George. Exactly.
It's right here.
Yeah, that's a self-evident question, George.
What's the point of a grail if you can't drink out of it? That's great, Pete. I love it.
Don't they know how grails work?
Well, here's the thing. speaking of this conversation, which is fascinating, I'm going to say this is one of my favorite minutes in the movie. And now I haven't finished the movie, but it's one of my favorite minutes. First of all, Indiana Jones, I don't think he's ever asked anyone why they're trying to kill him.
Well, usually he knows. Like, Belloc was after the Ark. He knows why Belloc was killing him. He knows why Satipo betrayed him. Like, he knows all these questions. He knows all the answers to things. This guy's like, I don't get it. I'm trying to do a thing, and you were like really harsh in my vibe here.
Yeah. Well, think about how it would have like slowed down all these chases over the years. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't ask, who's like Barranca. He doesn't ask him at the beginning. He hears the gun click and he turns around and he says, "Why are you trying to kill me?" You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of people he could have asked this to. Now, some of them may have been
time out. Why are you trying to kill me?
Because the way Indy operates, he operates under the assumption that most people are trying to kill him at some point.
Sure.
He's not surprised, but every now and then they catch him off guard, I guess.
Well, maybe he's overwhelmed because the answers could be myriad. I mean, they could just be. He's just like, I mean, it could be this, it could be that, it could be. I'm never in my office.
Is it Marion related?
Marion related. It's like this guy could.
Are you my student?
I just recently saw Simon Pegg and Hector in The Search for Happiness, where he basically goes all over the world asking people why they're happy, trying to understand. And now I'm just picturing a standalone indie movie where he's just asking everybody, like, writing to people on the phone. Yeah, why are you trying to kill me?
Those that are still alive after the fact.
That's true. That he hasn't killed.
Sort of like, are you my mother, but for archaeology.
Yeah. But is there anybody other than Lao She who's tried to kill him that isn't dead now?
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, usually people that try to kill Indy don't end up well. So the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword should keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, is there anybody?
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
And also, so you asked about like the whole thing. It's like with the whole, like, if they get close enough to the library, they set it on fire. How do you think they have to reset that every time that somebody gets close enough to the catacombs? Would they like, okay, get some more petrol, just dump it in there?
Yeah,
it's like, the paperwork is going to be a nightmare.
Get another green marble slab for the floor.
Do they have to pull the knight back up out of the water? It's like, and set them back up again.
Mostly, that was a one-off because normally they wouldn't do that because Indy survived. Normally they're like, oh, fire, rats, then they die.
Yeah.
Oh, man, just the rat budget alone's got to be through the roof.
I think it's like the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. Like, everything's on rails, and so like you go through it and the fire shoots up at certain things. Yeah, and it just everything resets.
Yeah.
Like the knight's coffin's going to come back out of the water, and everything's going to be right back on.
Well, that's like the not obstacles, but like the traps at the end of the movie. In the tomb. They just sort of like, all right.
Yeah, or even in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I feel that was a one-off.
Well, I really admire Kazim's veracity here. There's no dilly-dallying, no piddle-paddle. He just blurts out because you're looking for the Holy Grail. And there's no hesitation.
Yeah,
and
there's no banter.
Yeah, and so what's in it for Kazim to be so forthcoming? You know what I mean? Does he not want to lie on his deathbed?
He's got nothing to hide, I guess. I guess his is a noble pursuit, and
so do you think Kazim is that honest in his daily life?
In this instance, though, his honesty is actually hindering his cause, because his honesty is telling Indy that there's this group of people trying to kill him, and like he's basically saying, yeah, there really is a conspiracy out to get you, and he hasn't yet learned that Indy's not a threat. So in a way, he's kind of sabotaging his own plan.
Yeah, but see, maybe that's why his again, his veracity is so he's so honest. He just that's who he is, and he says it like that. Yeah, he's
he's
and
righteous.
like he doesn't look left, doesn't look right. Somebody's near the. It's like, hey, everybody, somebody got into the catacombs. We're just gonna have to burn it down.
Yeah,
he doesn't. You start to question if he is a bad guy here, just because he's so straightforward about it.
The thing is, like, they give you the impression leading up to this that the Brotherhood is sinister, but then they come out later like, no, we're just cool. We're just, on opposite sides of the thing at some point.
Yeah.
And this is that sort of transition point where he's like, I'm being honest with you. I'm not hiding. I'm not laughing. I'm not trying to, like, shoot a laser beam up through your crotch like, Goldfinger.
Right.
I'm just being me.
But it is funny because when he says, if you don't let go, Dr. Jones, we'll both die.
Yeah.
And then he says, then we'll die. But he sounds like he's cracking up when he says it.
It's really weird.
It will die.
Yeah.
I can't figure out what's going on there. Like, is he laughing or is he just?
Indy has a death wish. He has a death wish. It's all self-loathing based ever since the snakes in the train.
Well, that brings up my next question because Kazim says, "My soul is prepared. How's yours?" And I thought it was interesting that Indy doesn't actually answer the question. Do you think he ever stops and ponders his place in the universe?
No,
I think he was doing one of those internal, like, like collar pulls. Like,
I'm going down a list in my head and I'm not liking it. I better get off this boat. Yeah,
I'm three bullet points down and it's not looking good. So,
right. Just this movie alone, I think I'm doomed.
I think you'll appreciate this, Pete. This is one of my favorite minutes in all of the Indy movies because, here's a guy who's calling out Indiana Jones on his whole life. It's a straight indictment of his soul. And I don't know, I mean, you talk about as anybody who's trying to kill Indiana Jones alive other than Lao Che. I don't think anybody else has called Indiana Jones' morality into question the way that he does. Now Belloc says, he hints at, he says it would take a nudge to make you more like me. I'm a shadowy reflection, but that's totally different. He's just sort of equating himself with it.
Marion calls him out on the whole age difference thing. Yeah, she's like, he's like, you know what you're doing. He's like, I was young.
Yeah, that's true.
That sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
She does.
And he didn't have an answer for it either. He just changed the subject.
No, and that's
Then he tries to push her into a boat propeller.
And I mean, Kazim he's just here. He's like, hey man, you're rascally. You're besmirched. And it rings true because of how honest Kazim was 2 seconds prior to that. That I don't know. It's a fascinating scene because we always joke about how immoral Indy is here, but here's a guy doing it in the movie. And as you said, Pete, Indy doesn't answer. So, I wonder, who are the Kazims in your lives? Who calls you out?
Oh, God.
Who calls you out, Who do you have to stop and say, why are you trying to kill me?
Who's my soul meter?
Well, speaking of the Kazim in Indy's life, what's Kazim's desired outcome here? Is he hoping that Indy's going to convert or, have an epiphany? Or is he hoping he'll stop chasing the Grail? Or is he just like kind of resigned to whatever's going to happen at this point because he's lost?
It's weird because they had a weird conversation later that we're not at yet. And that's weird in its own ways. But yeah, here it's, I don't know. He's not bluffing. I think he is ready to go right into the propeller if that's how it goes. Because his soul is prepared, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. But I think, I guess if it's weird that he's so ready to die because then how's he supposed to protect the Grail? Like if his whole mission is to protect the Grail, like I don't know if this would count as like a good example of dying for it or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
especially if Indy then like jumps away after he gets decapitated and hops on another boat, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Exactly, and then goes after the Grail some more. Yeah, that would kind of defeat the purpose.
Well, what's interesting is what Kazim should really do is like, take his tie or something and tie it around Indy's leg, and just pull them both into the propeller, right? Yeah, I mean that would be the way to protect the Grail.
But then is Indy going to try to save them both? Mm. Oh, actually, Indy is Indy's reaction to Kazim here shed some light on Indy's reaction to Pat Roach in Temple of Doom.
That way he tries to save him.
That's right. Yeah.
I never contended that he tried to save. I never agreed with that.
He totally did.
Jerry's like, I don't hold to those shenanigans.
But you did say, Kazim says, if you don't let go, Dr. Jones will both die. And prior, a few minutes ago, Elsa said, it's this one. So they're setting up some things here, right? If you don't let go, Dr. Jones, we'll both die.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't finished the whole movie, but there is something about if you don't let go,
that
Dr.
does come into play later on.
Yeah, there's kind of a whole, Did you guys ever go to Sunday school?
I'm just watching the boat getting chewed up over and over again. That's really satisfying.
It is.
With the pieces just like...
But at the same time, so that's another thing. All right, we'll talk about the boat. For one thing, propellers, that's not how they work. They don't stick 6 feet out of the water and just keep swirling up the water. It looks like a Mario Brothers obstacle course through there.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's like the underwater part of the like bloop 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 bloop. So there's that, and then like the demolition of the boat is just like it's just boat per second for a minute there. Then it just stops when they're having a conversation, and then it takes back up again, and things are pop off, and then it stops, and you see
Indy is really angry here. Like these whole minutes, he's angry, and I like it. He's a little gritty. He's nasty. He's a
Tingle, Jerry?
little edgy. You know what I mean? This is not a Temple of Doom indie. He's like yelling, and he's kind of like he's about to he's just gonna let the propeller chew the guy up, and he's fine with that. I like this indie. This is good.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's still steamed that Elsa yelled back at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. Well, I mean, he's used to women yelling at him. I mean,
That's true.
either screeching or yelling.
Yeah. He might kind of like it.
I think why he's so upset is because he doesn't know why this guy is trying to kill him. He's like, he typically has a good idea. This guy totally out of left field.
Yeah.
So was Indy bluffing, or did he change his mind when Kazim addressed him as Dr. Jones? As I say, this guy knows me. Go on.
Yeah.
I
kill him.
Go on. Did you read?
Showed
You
me
read my latest journal.
Well, I learned earlier that River Phoenix was named after the river in Siddhartha. I like that this line, like these two lines, if you read them with a different inflection, is straight out of the beginning of that book too, when he says, "We'll both die," and then he says, "Then we'll die."
It's straight from Siddhartha.
Maybe that's where they pulled it from. This whole conversation is just straight from Siddhartha.
Maybe this is Tom Stoppard, getting literary with us.
It is weird though that I feel like his sorry, what's his name again?
Kazim?
Kazim. Okay, I thought I was conflating it with Azim from Fifth Element.
Oh yeah,
and I was wanting to go Kazim light. No, but it's funny that he's questioning Indy's morality, because Indy's sort of like this like roadrunner figure. He just sort of like runs throughout the desert doing his own thing, and the coyote never stops the roadrunner and asks him why he does these things.
Yeah.
So it's this weird moment of like trying to get like this natural force to like hold him to accountability.
Well, speaking of like thinking about it, then like what you just said, George. So do they do some kind of a morality test? Like if Indy were some other person, like if Indy were Roy Neary from Close Encounters, and he's pure of heart, and he's not out to hurt anybody, he just wants to find the truth, would Kazim be like, "Hey, help yourself, knock yourself out," or would he try to kill him too?
I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, his task, his mission is to protect the Grail from outsiders, because it's one of those things where it doesn't matter what you're going to use it for. It can't be good.
Right. They didn't leave markers all over the place just so people would go and find the Grail. That would be silly.
It is interesting though. It's like you'd think that if you were the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Cross, you would go, let's just go like take care of all this stuff. Let's change the stained glass. Let's put some like caulk around this like tile in the middle of the floor so they can't be pried up or broken.
Add a 1 to it so it's not an X anymore.
Exactly. Like mix it up a little bit.
Just throw a rock through it.
These all of these movies, there's always a vibe that Indiana Jones is the chosen one. Right? I mean, like at the last second, he knows to close his his eyes when the ark's opened, and then obviously in Temple of Doom, they're like, the shaman's like, you came down from the sky, you're the anointed one, we've been waiting for you, and then here, he kind of threads the needle and does all the stuff, and he knows what to do, and a penitent man, whatever they say at the end, I don't know, but how does Kazim not know that this guy's the chosen one? That's what's so strange about this. The shaman knew. You know what I mean? It's like, how does he know?
I don't think the shaman was accurate.
Well, now, that was it.
He's just a dude from Connecticut.
Spitballing. He says that to everybody.
Tommy, you're just a dude from Connecticut. Peter, I know you back me up on this. I'm just they present him as this. I mean, he's the guy who gets the job done. I hate to spoil this, Tommy, but every time, on every adventure, he's the guy who actually,
he's in an adventure movie.
So I
he's
just
an
don't
action
know
hero.
why Kazim wouldn't necessarily know that, maybe, or at least give him the benefit of the doubt, especially if he knows who he is. Hey, this is the one guy that survived the opening of the Ark of the Covenant.
But what do you mean by gets the job done? Because he never actually ever ends up with an artifact.
Well, Peter, I'm going to have to read this quote again, okay? If you don't let go, Dr. Jones, we'll both die. I mean, that's the point of this particular movie and the Grail. Which, of course, I love your point, which is, what the is the point of having a Grail if you can't drink from it?
It's very much like a white whale situation, like a pursuit for the sake of pursuit, not for the sake of acquiring.
But what's Dr. Jones supposed to let go of?
Well, Grail, for one.
But is he supposed to let go of his father? Is he supposed to let go of all attachment? Like, is Kazim a very kind of Buddhist figure?
I mean, you're the one who's bringing up Siddhartha here. You know, I mean, he's supposed to. Yeah, no, it is his attachment or his. I mean, if we're gonna go that route, I mean, his wanting, his desire, right? I mean, he lets go of the Grail, and he's like totally peaceful with his dad, just being present in the moment, walking, riding off into the sunset, literally.
Mm-hmm. So none of Willie's religious precepts wore off on him, apparently.
Well, based on Crystal Skull, it feels like they're cautioning to give up on making good movies. Like, let this one go. You're good. Let it go. Let it go. No, fuck. No, the refrigerator. Oh, my God. What are you doing? We said let it go.
I mean, that's the interesting thing is from what I remember this movie like 30 years ago when I last saw it is like it does sort of have I mean, even though it's all Christianity and Jesus, I mean, in this sense, it definitely has a Buddhist message at the end, one could argue, sort of relinquishing or conquering desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the general throughput for Christianity. It's overcoming your base desires to, lead a more pious and self-fulfilling life. I mean, that's why like all religions have the same core.
Yeah.
So this has Buddhist tenets to it, but it's still a Christian sect.
Also, if you look at it this way, if Indiana Jones doesn't let go of Kazim's lapels, they'll both be chopped up by a big propeller.
It is inexplicably hovering out of the water by like how low is that water? That boat cannot be like sitting on anything but dry land.
That is really, I never really thought about that. That is super weird.
Yeah.
Propellers are supposed to be way under the water. Way under the water.
It's true.
I'm still caught up on what Jerry was saying. So I guess the other point is, if you do drink out of the Holy Grail and you become immortal, you'll never actually go to heaven and meet God. So maybe Kazim's trying to do everybody a favor.
That's fascinating.
The whole Grail itself is like this great red herring. It's this pursuit of thing that you can't have because once you get it, you stop being the nature of the thing that they're pursuing. It's like you stop being a human if you stop being susceptible to death.
Well, what's the point of living forever if you just live in a 40 by 40 cave?
That's the thing. That's the whole gift of the Magi O. Henry twist.
Right.
Yeah.
Indy 5 should be about vampires, and then he's faced with the same but similar, thing. Okay, I'll live forever, but at least I get to go
glitter.
places. And
I got bit by a vampire.
I got bit by a vampire.
Well, what is Indy bluffing here? Was he really just going to let them both die?
No.
Indy or
Indy?
Kazim?
Yeah, Indy. Yeah, was he going to let them both die?
No, he's not going to kill himself.
No, Indy was doing some hardcore interrogation.
Okay, all right. So, but I mean, he wasn't going to let Kazim die either. He always planned on grabbing Kazim and putting him on his own boat, Indy's boat.
Well, the whole reason he's fighting him now is he wants information about where his father is.
This is 1938 waterboarding.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Basically.
Yeah, onboard watering.
Watering outboard.
Outboard.
Yeah.
They came up with a better name later. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's no way that Indy's going to kill himself because he's got like the hottest German woman ever in existence in the boat, like, 10 yards away.
Yeah. And he might have a chance with her, too. He plays his cards right.
Yeah.
Yeah, his lines are so smooth. Speaking of smooth lines.
Oh, my God. Oh.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Has Elsa ever been this close to death before? And does she care that Indy is this close to death?
She seems to. She's got that furrowed brow that George is getting all gooey-eyed about.
Oh, so googled. My eyes are googly. And also, if Indy dies, her current link to the path of the Grail is gone, and that's what her secret thing is.
Well, so is she? Do you think she cares about Indy at all? Like 1 iota, 5%?
In the sense that she's her boyfriend's son.
It's her stepson eventually.
Yeah.
Which will make Thanksgiving interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Jonya, remember when I stuffed your mother like a turkey?
Squeeze me.
It's like,
Dad.
back at you, Dad.
That is going to be awkward, though. Like, they finish eating, and his room's on one side of the table, and his dad's is on the other, and you're like, "Well, where you going, Elsa?"
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, the way they're so competitive, and especially Indy. I mean, jeez. And he probably would serve rats for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her after that.
I think a simple Google search for Last Crusade fan fiction would answer all of our questions that we're chipping at right now.
I enjoyed these minutes. I just let it be known I'm not always horrible.
No, you got to hurt.
Yeah,
Your soul's
occasionally
prepared.
I'm nice. Yeah, I did. I like that. I like these minutes.
Yeah. Well, George, you do a very cool podcast that we've been on,
Yeah.
and I know Jerry and I both, and Christy have all been on a recent special episode as well.
Oh yeah.
You have. Our show is called the Mogwai Minute. It's all about gremlins, 1 minute at a time. We are forging our way through our hiatus, and we'll soon begin production and then release of Gremlins 2, the new batch, which will be really interesting because it's a crazy, crazy, crazy movie.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie.
Well, I'm excited about season 2. And everybody else, if you want to hear a little bit more about how perhaps some of the movies we cover are related to Gremlins, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Indiana Jones Minute, or just go to our website, indianajonesminute.com, and click on the tab for Patreon. And we've been talking about a lot of other movies like Jaws and Close Encounters and E.T., but you'll find the direct link between Close Encounters, E.T., and Gremlins if you check us out there.
It's there.
It's there. Yep. And then check us out here again on Monday for minute 41 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Boats! Who's going to keep doing it?
Boats!
They're gonna keep doing. You know, I was thinking, I have to do more stuff. I don't think my soul is prepared.
And do you need to do more stuff or let go of more stuff?
Ah.
There you go.